Hi everybody, Erin here, and today I'm going to be doing a review of Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I'm going to get right into this because because that's what you're here for, is the book review. I want to first tell you that this is the first Frederick Bachman that I've read. I have not read A Man Called Uva, not read Britt Marine Was Here, or My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. This book is set in Sweden. It is about a hockey town, and this hockey town is like many small communities that, especially, like, I'm from Canada. I'm gonna put the book down. I don't need to hold it up. Especially in Canada. I grew up in a town where hockey was the sport. My job growing up when I was like 16 and could drive and had to get a job, I worked at the hockey rink as a cook in the concession. I curled. I was on the other side of the facility, but hockey was huge. I mean, parents were at that rink at like 7 in the morning, banging on the door wanting coffee when I had to work the early shift. So hockey was a big thing in those towns. And in a lot of cases, that's like the sport. That's the social activity. That's what people do. And in this case, we've got several characters. This is kind of a character study of this small town. And it addresses, or it looks at the character. Yeah. It looks at several characters. So there's some hockey players. There are some people that aren't really into hockey. There's an ex-NHL player who works now for the Beartown Hockey Club. There's the president of the hockey club and all of the sponsors of the hockey club that pay the salaries. And then there's the coaches and other students and a teacher at the school. And it tells you about these people. Now, among the characters, there is a young boy named Amat, and his mother is the cleaner at the arena. And as you can tell from that name, this is going to be an issue because obviously he's from the wrong side of the tracks, he's the wrong color, and yet he works really hard to earn himself, because he loves hockey. He wants to earn himself a spot on the team. And there's the star player from the rich family, and there's the daughter of the general manager of the hockey club, and you know, the wife of the ex-NHL player. And there's just this meeting of a whole bunch of people. And it's interesting as you watch the various generations. So that the ex-NHL player grew up in Beartown on this hockey club, and he believes in the hockey club and he believes in the community. And at the same time, this community is going through a lot of economic uncertainty. The factory is laying people off all the time. That's really the major industry. There's a supermarket in town that seems to have pushed out a lot of its competition so that, there's not a lot of employment in this town. And so what they're really hoping for is that this hockey club, the senior team, can win the championship. And by winning the championship, they're hoping to convince the hockey school to build a facility out in their community, because they're such a big hockey town and they can turn this into an opportunity to grow their town through hockey. Now, something happens one night. It tells you on the inside cover. Something happens one night, and it is traumatic. We start out the book. So this is the basic premise of the book. We start out the book with a very simple paragraph, and that's the first chapter. The first chapter is like 4 lines of text, and they tell you about the end of the book. And then they say, this is the story about how we got here. Now, this book is 415 pages long. So there's 415 pages between that opening paragraph and when you get to the end. And there's a lot of twists and turns. There are a lot of people that you're going to meet and get to know. And as a reader, it was really, I thought it was really interesting because, again, I grew up in the hockey town. I was not a hockey player. So I was, there was a part of me that felt a greater kinship with the people that weren't hockey players, that didn't support the hockey team, that, you know, sort of felt other in this town. Yet Frederick Bachman manages to make me care about the hockey players. He makes me care, like, he makes me care about the people. Like, the guys on the hockey teams are amazing. And it's about friendship and how far you'll go to help your friends, and loyalty, and what is the point where, what's that breaking point where maybe you need to stand up and say something because you don't agree with what's happening. And maybe you have to stand up and do the right thing, even though everybody around you and all of that peer pressure on these teenagers is just, it's crazy. It's immense. And some of the things that happen in this book are so wrong. You know, some of the characters just aren't all that sympathetic. But at the same time, he's given you just that little bit of a human side to these people that makes you think, oh, I see where they're going wrong. I want to yell at them and say, stop doing that. This train wreck is going to happen unless you stop doing that. Or, you know, whatever. Like, there's many characters that are involved in the train wreck that brings us to the conclusion of this book. It is just an amazing look at these people. And I'm not a big crier at books. I'm really not. I mean, I cried at Marley and Me, and of course I cried at The Art of Racing in the Rain and Lily and the Octopus. You give me pets in horrible situations and I'm gonna cry, but people don't often make me cry. This book made me cry several times. It's horrifyingly sad in places and horrifyingly real in its description of people and places and things and what happens. And I loved it. I mean, this is a 5-star read for me. I loved this book. I got this from my library. I will probably be picking up a copy to put on my shelf, just because I thought this book was so good. Now, I do understand that if you have read Frederick Bachman before, after reading some of the reviews on this book, this is a little darker than some of his other stuff. It doesn't have that same level of humor that you're going to find, or that I understand you'll find in some of his other books. There's not a lot of humor in this. There are some moments, but mostly you're going to get those heartwarming moments where you're like, you feel like you're enveloped by love, or you're going to get these horrifyingly sad moments where you can't believe that people are so heartless and cruel to each other. And it's amazing. The feelings that this, and I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, the feels, because I'm not typically that person, but this book is written so well, and maybe it's just because it meshes so much with my history and how I grew up that I fell in love with it, and I fell in love with many of the characters. And I think that there's a lot of admirable characters in this book, and given the situation that we live in now and the things that you see in the news, this is the kind of book that will make you feel a little better about yourself or your world at the end of the day. And there's nothing wrong with that right now. So, Beartown by Frederick Bachman, I gave it 5 stars out of 5 because this book I just thought it was so well written. I think there's so much going on, there's so much complexity, and it's about, I can sit here and say what it's about. It's about a small town. It's about, you know, small towns versus big cities. It's about friendship and loyalty, and I've said some of that already, so I think I need to stop. But I can tell you that it is a fantastically written hockey-themed book, even if you don't like hockey. Yeah. So, that's Beartown by Frederick Bachman. Thank you for watching. If you have read this, let me know what you thought. Let me know if you loved it as much as I did. And if not, if this sounds interesting to you at all, I hope you do go and pick it up because I just think it's a fantastic read. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.